Welcome back to Desktop Bodybuilding. I'm Xavier Wills, and today I'm going to be joined by Michael Galley for another weekly bodybuilding breakdown. We are back. My computer's up and working once again. We've got a bunch of news stories for you guys. We've got Brad Rowe going fishing with heavyweight champion of the world Mike Tyson, possibly the best boxer of all time. Also, Iris Kyle coming back to the Ms Olympia. Hunter Labrada versus Iain Valliere at the Tampa Pro, who is going to win that, and George Peterson on his pro debut in the 212s, how he's looking right now. We've got a video of that. So all that plus much more coming up in this video, guys. I hope you enjoy it. What's up, Desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding. I'm joined by Michael Galley for another weekly bodybuilding breakdown, and we are back, Mick. After a bit of a hiatus, my computer was absolutely wrecked and not working, so I'm glad to be back talking to you on Skype once again.
It is good to be back, and I think last time we spoke, it was the end of lockdown here, and I was happy to get rid of those stupid bands. I didn't get rid of them, luckily, because it looks like we're going to go into lockdown again.
Oh. Brutal, man. That's so brutal. I feel bad for you because, like, you know, in WA right now where I am, Western Australia, like the most isolated capital city in the world, probably one of the times that's actually an advantage to me because not many people want to travel full stop at the moment. And plus, it's not somewhere where many people really drive unless they're driving over the Mullabore, which is just a 2-3 day trek. So I don't think... I think we're pretty safe in terms of our cases, but I know there's going to be a game of Aussie rules football this weekend. It's going to have a crowd of 30,000 people, which our Premier is allowing. So I'm praying, man, out of that we don't have a breakout, and there's heaps of people that have it. So, but I know the rest of the eastern states in Australia, like all our IFBB Pro League affiliated comps, state comps have been cancelled, and we're only going to have the nationals, which is a massive news story in Australian bodybuilding, at least anyway. But yeah, so how's things over there currently for you before we get into the bodybuilding stories?
Things have been good, pretty much. I mean, we're still not sure what Texas is going to do. I think it's right on the cusp of what they're going to decide. California, or a lot of LA's counties went into lockdown yesterday. So I felt sorry for my cousin over there again, who's got to go through with it. And it looks to be at least a month anyway. But luckily, when I was here last week, I thought, man, things aren't looking good. The cases are up. So I went to one of the local gym equipment shops who were restocked, obviously, and I bought a full dumbbell set, which we'll get here at the end of this week. So at least I'll have a full dumbbell set.
Oh, man, you're lucky. Like, at least you got onto that. But, man, I feel bad for you being over there by yourself. You know what I mean? Like, it's all good if you can get out and talk to people. Like, your job is pretty much going out, interacting with people and stuff like that. And now you're in lockdown in a country that you're not even born in. It's like, oh, man.
I can't deal with those bands again, Xavier. I can't. I can't.
All right. Well, let's launch into some of our bodybuilding news stories. We're going to start with George Peterson, 19 days out of the Tampa Pro, looking absolutely ridiculous. This was posted by his coach, Justin Miller. And I've got to tell you, man, like this clip, I've seen plenty of clips of his back, and we know his back is crazy. So it's almost like, yep, okay, George has probably the freakiest back on the planet. But now you're seeing the rest of his physique, and he's looking hard as hell 19 days out, which is one thing I was like, okay, he's pushing up to a higher weight class. Will he be as sharp as he was in the classic physique? I think that's hands down, he's going to be just as sharp. And he's going to be a lot fuller, which even might make him slightly more sharper and give that, you know, I suppose muscle pushing against the skin a little bit more look. And honestly, like I was a little bit doubtful that George Peterson would be right near the top of the 212 straight away. But now I'm looking at these videos and I'm like, he's going to be right up there, like at the Olympia, I think, you know? So what do you think of this latest video, and how do you think he's going to do, I suppose, not just at the Tampa Pro, but at the Olympia if it happens?
Man, he's a dead set freak. It's not often you see guys put on mass quickly and maintain not only that small waist, but the striations on his body. He had them everywhere, all over his delts and chest. He's got a fantastic physique, man. And I don't see anyone really causing him any damage now. Where would you have placed him last year at the 212 Olympia, looking how he does?
Well, I haven't seen his legs. I mean, his legs, I think he lost a little bit from him when he actually sucked down to the classic physique. And because his back is so big that, how much muscle can you add everywhere else, because that adds a lot of weight to your physique. But honestly, man, like it is really hard to say until you set them next to each other. But I compare him, I suppose, condition-wise a little bit to like a Sean Clarita. And I'm like, is he bigger than Sean Clarita? I'd say yeah. Like right now, I'd say yeah, probably. So Sean Clarita, I can't even remember what he placed now, but I know he was top 5. So that puts him straight into the top 5 of last year's 212 Olympia. And it's crazy to think about. But then you've got guys like Angel Calderon, who was down in 10th. You've got Aaron Pilates, obviously, who's friends with us, down in 9th, who both look absolutely insane as well. And then you could make a case for them. Like Angel last year, I could have made a case for him being top 5 in the 212 Olympia. He was, I think, that grossly overlooked. But it's just hard to say because the 212 is so close from first place to 10th place. There's not that much crazy difference, in my opinion.
I could definitely see George in that top 4 to 5.
Yeah.
But again, until they're all next to each other, you're not too sure. But he's got to, and we all know what happens when George turns around.
Oh yeah, he's going to win those. I think he wins those back shots versus every single person on that 212 Olympia stage.
Yeah, agreed.
I just can't imagine a back like that not winning those shots. But let's move on. Let's talk about Iris Kyle coming back to the Olympia. She's the most winning female Miss Olympia of all time. I believe she has 10 titles, but I don't know if one of them was like a light and heavyweight. I'm not too sure how that works, but I know some people say 9, some people say 10, whatever it is. She's still the most winningest, and she's making a comeback. And I don't know what the last year she was stepped on stage was at the Olympia, but I believe it was actually when I was there, and it was like I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago, which is a long time, especially I know she was coming to the end of her career anyway. So do you think Iris Kyle, she's making the comeback this year at the Olympia? I'm sure she's incentivized by a bit of extra money or something. Do you think that she will win it, or do you think like maybe like another girl like Alina Popa or one of these other girls will take it off her because, obviously, 6 years is a long time?
If it was Iris of old, hands down, she's not going to get beaten. But yeah, you're right, 5-6 years off, that's hard for anyone to come back, especially as, you're getting older and older. I think it's good for the sport though. Like Iris has got a big fan base. She's really well respected. So that's just another great addition to the Olympia. Like there's a lot of good people competing this year. So providing all goes ahead.
Yeah, and you got like even in the other divisions, they're incentivizing these people to come back. Like they're giving extra. I'm sure. Well, I don't know this, but I'm sure they to get these people out of retirement. I'm sure they're giving them a little bit of extra pay on the side because you got like Adela Garcia coming back to the Fitness Olympia. You got what's her name? The real good fitness competitor that won Olympias, Oksana Grashina. She's coming back as well. Yeah. There's a bunch of other names that are coming back too, and I'm like, these people are all coming out of retirement. It makes me wonder if like a Kai Green and a Phil Heath have been offered a little bit more to say, hey, come back, we'll give you an extra 100K or something, Because Jake Wood, we know, as far as I know, he's a billionaire, so he's got the money behind him, and and I think that whatever they're doing, I mean, if they run this comp this year with no spectators and no expo, they're going to lose a lot of money. But I think that Jake Wood is willing to do that for I suppose the future success of the Olympia and the brand going forward. So I mean, it's credit to him. And I actually heard an interview with Dan Solomon the other day, and basically it was sort of speculated. He didn't say it, Dan Solomon, but it sounded though if AMI was running the Olympia, that it would definitely be called off this year. You know what I mean? Because it's more of a corporate thing. It's about making money for them, and they're not just going to eat, what, $3, $4, $5 million loss. It's a lot of money. So. Yeah.
No, I agree with that totally. Yeah. I mean, just look what they did with Sean the day after he was, in the news. They got him out of the Olympia. So yeah, that was just pure corporate sort of business to them. So I agree. I think they would have shut down the Olympia straight away. But no, Jake will push forward.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Now, Brad Rowe, IFB Pro Bodybuilder. Now, I saw this pop up because I think I'm friends with him on Facebook. I might have even seen it on Instagram as well. That he went fishing with Mike Tyson, and I was like, that is probably one of the coolest things you could do. Like, imagine that experience, like having a chat with Mike Tyson, talking to him and stuff. Now, you saw a little bit more about this, so tell us, I suppose, what happened and what went down with Mike Tyson fishing with Brad Rowe.
Yeah, Brad's a really cool guy, actually. I've spoken to Brad a bit, but for those that don't know, you would as well. Brad's got that newbie machine that you would have seen, anyone listening would have seen a lot over the last couple of years, that he puts the pads on as the guys are training. So Sean, Stanimal, Dexter. I
just saw Brandon Curry using it on his legs as well, just yesterday.
That's right. Yep. So Brandon as well. and just going on from what Brad spoke about in his latest YouTube, which is really good actually, if you get a chance to watch it. He's come on board with Mike Tyson to help him not only with nutrition, but his supplements and conditioning, things like that as well. But he was practicing doing the newbie sort of thing with Mike just before Mike was getting into the ring to spar. And I think they did it for about 20 minutes. And so Mike's got in the ring and he's sparring away. And after about a minute, he's gone, what the hell? What the hell has that thing done? So it just made him a lot more quicker in there, a lot more agile and stuff from that as well. So they brought Brad on full time now with that. So I think the Bahama trip, there was obviously something going on there with training wise, but they brought Brad along. Brad's taken his newbie and all that sort of stuff. So that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. I was wondering the story behind it, man. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens, because this could be something that if Mike Tyson then goes and credits this to him coming back and doing really well, like if he comes back and wins a fight against someone who's decent or half decent, then I feel like if he mentions this thing could take off in the boxing industry as well, and then really go, I suppose, worldwide across many sports. So Brad Rowe, I mean, he's doing amazing things, and I didn't even know that story before you just told me that. I just thought that somehow he got to link up and then got to go fishing with Mike Tyson. That's all I thought it was, which I thought was cool.
Mike was really happy with that. You got to remember too, with the newbie, it's not necessarily just used for bodybuilding as well. For what obviously Dexter was doing, bringing his legs back and that. It's used for a lot of different things, recovery, all sorts of stuff, loosening the muscles. Obviously, before Mike went into the ring sparring, and for Mike to notice something that worked so fast and effectively to bring him on board as a permanent fixture to his camp. And Brad also alluded, obviously, that they are getting ready for some fights. So whether or not the exhibition fights or a real one, it's bloody interesting to see.
Oh, for sure. I think it's massive, and it's massive for the newbie as well. So I actually wonder, because I've got, those little like pads that you can stick on, and you've got the little, I suppose, thing, and then you can click the button and it makes your muscle just spasm basically. Like I've got those, and man, like I use those, and I just feel like if I go train the next day, if I put it on my chest and have it on there for a fair while, I'll go train chest the next day, and I feel like I notice a difference. I get a bigger pump. Do you think those things work? Until I guess you used it yourself. I spoke to Sean when Sean Roden used it. He thought it was fantastic. Stanimal, who we know as well, he rated it big time. We actually spoke to Brad Rowe in the car park in Vegas at one of the gyms. He was leaving and he had it with him. So Logan and I were chatting to him about it. And I remember Logan saying to me the next day, he goes, fuck, maybe I should try and get one of them into Australia and be the first person to actually have it in with Australia. But I guess it just depends on how many people you get to, because it's not cheap, something like that at all. And it is quite a big piece of equipment to take around with you. Yeah.
But I mean, the guys using it, so far it's all been pretty positive feedback.
Yeah.
So who knows? Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you know how much they charge for a session? I suppose, like, obviously you got Brad Rowe training you as well, so that's part of the session. Do you know how much they cost approximately for like an hour session or something?
Off the top of my head, I could be wrong. I think it was in the 250, 270 mark, I think.
Yeah. I suppose some trainers charge that anyway,
Mate, they do, yeah. Geez, one of the physios I see here in friggin' Dallas charges me $240 an hour, which is 370 Australian.
That is a lot.
Yeah, so I go once a fortnight.
Yeah, maximum.
But he's good. He's damn good, man. He's one of the best I've ever been to.
Oh, wow. That's cool. So let's move on to our last topic, and I suppose the topic that most people want to listen to, and it's Iain Valliere versus Hunter Labrada. And Iain Valliere, I'm going to insert the comment soon that he made on the Bodybuilding Bollocks podcast with Fuad Abiad, basically saying that he believes he's almost like a better version of Hunter Labrada. So I'm going to insert that right now.
I mean, Hunter, in my mind, is my only competition. Look, I'm not going to be a fucking D-bag here and say, like, all right, I'll wipe the floor with him. Look, Hunter has made massive improvements. He looks awesome. Do I think he's on my level right now? No. But do I think he's the best competition and he'll certainly be competition? Yes.
Let me ask you this. How do you think you beat him?
Well, I think the thing with me and Hunter is Hunter and I have all the same strengths, but I'm stronger at them, and all the same weaknesses, but my weaknesses are still better than his. Like, his back shots are his weakest, which are also mine, but my back shots are still better than his. My best shots are my side chest, my side tricep, my most muscular, which are still better than his. I think he beats me on a front double. He's a little nicer shaped. He can beat me in a front double for sure. But I think every other shot, I outsize him, and my flow is just as good when you put, in a side tricep. I mean, I think anyone has a hard time staying next to me in a side chest or side tricep, not just Hunter.
Yeah. Right.
And those are also his best shots. I mean, I think front double, he takes me. I think maybe in abs and thighs, he could take me. But even that, like, it's not a great pose. He hits it kind of from that side angle, like I hit it too.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I don't think and I think that's an advantageous thing for me, that we have the exact same strengths and weaknesses, and mine are just a little better than his in every aspect in my mind.
You do have you have similar looks. You're definitely right.
I just have a more seasoned look of his look,
So there you go. Hear Iain Valliere talking about how he believes, they've got similar weaknesses and stuff, and we've got similar strengths. So, he's saying how their side tricep are both a strong shot and whatnot. Now, I believe Iain Valliere is a little bit taller than Hunter, as far as I know. Like, maybe, I don't know, might not be much. But just from what I've seen in photos, he looks a tiny bit taller than Hunter. And Hunter's not a short guy anyway. He's a lot taller than his dad. But how do you think these guys match up? Because, he said, the back is a weak point for him and Hunter. But I think Hunter's actually improved his back a lot. So overall, in terms of balanced physique-wise, I'd say Hunter, I think, is a little bit more balanced. But Iain Valliere might have that more, I suppose, hard, gnarly-looking muscle when they actually stand on stage. Because I've seen guys, younger guys like Hunter, I think Hunter's only 27 or so. I've seen guys like him before actually stand on stage, and they look great and hard coming up, like a Derek Lunsford. How you see he's got shredded glutes. When he stands on stage, he doesn't look as crisp as some of these more, I suppose, seasoned guys. And Iain Valliere, I think he's only about 30 years old, but he's still got those extra few years in the gym. So how do you think they match up against each other, and who do you think wins?
Man, I've been flipping and flopping on this for the last few days. When we text each other, I was fully Hunter, hands down Hunter. And then I watched that interview with Valliere today. I watched it all. And then I jumped on Iain's Instagram, and I hadn't actually looked at much of his stuff, and I was like, holy shit, he's improved. And we all know he's prepping with Pat Peter at the moment, which is fantastic. But yeah, you're right, it's two totally different physiques. I'm a big fan of Hunter. I like Hunter's shape. Iain's massive though. He is huge. He is so big, and he's bringing that really hard look. I don't know, dude. Like I've been tossing it up. I'd probably prefer Hunter's look, but again, until they're like side by side on stage, it's a hard one to sort of guess now.
And I know you're a massive fan of Iain as well, because last year you were really pumping him up too, just on social media, and saying that he's legit, and he is, because he placed. When he did the Olympia, many people said he could have placed higher as well, and he was in outside the top 10. But I was looking at him and thinking, this dude is huge. He's hard. Yeah, his back needs to come up a little bit or whatever, but he's a legit freak. Like, he is massive. So I'm wondering the height discrepancy. I haven't looked it up, but I imagine it's probably 2 inches or something like that, 1.5, 2 inches to Iain. But it's going to be really interesting, man, because Hunter is packed with muscle, very balanced, very round. He looks hard. Whether it looks as crisp on stage standing next to an Iain, that's what it's going to come down to, I think. And if he's not as crisp as Iain, then I feel like Iain will win. But if they're pretty comparable in terms of conditioning and just hardness of a muscle, I think that Hunter wins. So it's going to be close, man.
Hunter's rear double biceps unreal. I think it's amazing. I think it's a really, really complete shot. When you get a chance next, have a look at Hunter's outer tricep, and then compare it to his dad's. Go to like a 92. I was looking at all his Olympias, his routines, 92. It's exactly the same insertions and thickness, like exactly the same. It's the one thing that stood out that I went, oh my God, that is like, because they are totally different physiques when you look at him and his dad. Hunter's a lot taller, obviously carrying a lot more mass. But his dad was just such a perfectionist in everything he did, the way he presented himself and things like that as well. Man, I don't know. I was telling you, I was looking at flights again today, so I'm going to wait till last minute because no one knows what's going to happen. But the flights are cheap as, the accommodation's perfect right near the auditorium. So hopefully it all goes well. I'll get over and watch that.
Man, even if you get to Tampa and go there, like, try to even get some interviews on your iPhone, just even the voice memo bit. You know what I mean? You don't even need to record a video, and I'll insert that into the show. That'd be cool.
That's a good idea. I will do that. But I'll definitely, if everything goes according to plan as well, the Houston Pros just after it.
Yep.
So that's only like 4.5 hours from Dallas. So I'll definitely go to that one as well.
Awesome.
And then the Galley Pro, which is a bit later on. But that'll be good. We'll definitely be able to do a quick one of these that night at the Tampa.
Absolutely, that'd be awesome. And do you know what's funny? Like, you mentioning about how like Hunter's triceps are exactly like the insertions are the same as his dad's. it's funny, like when I was getting into bodybuilding, I still lived at home, and like when Dad and I, like, because Dad would show me how to do a few poses and whatnot, and he wasn't training at the time, but he'd still have a little bit of muscle on him. So when he'd flex we'd do like a front double bicep, and our biceps, man, like my left bicep, it cuts in and I get a line through it, but it almost cuts a little bit shorter compared to the right one. His is exactly the same, and then the right bicep's just rounder and fuller, and it's identical, and it's like, that's mind-blowing that you get that same sort of genetic profile, and then your little imperfections and little differences show up exactly the same on your dad. And like for my dad, his legs were like a weaker point for him. My legs are a weaker point for me. It's like, that's just crazy how it's just like, I think genetically we're very, very, obviously we're very, very similar, but it's just amazing how it just plays out, you know, so many years after actually having me as a baby, that we end up being very similar in a lot of ways. And like when, like, you know, facially as well, like when I smile, when I stand next to him, now we've got the exact same smile, our eyes look the same. I'm just like, shit, I'm just turning into my dad.
It's classic, yeah. Do you know, that's funny. I remember with my dad when I was only late teens and, you know, and into competing then. And I always had trouble getting my legs hard, especially at that young age. Yep. And I remember my dad just giving me crap because he'd flex his leg. Obviously, you know, wasn't that big at that stage, but he still had cross striations in his outer quad. And I couldn't get that as a kid. I just couldn't get it. So he'd always tease me. He'd always flex his quad and say, well, you don't have that, do you? And I'm like, oh. And he did nothing except play touch footy at that stage. I was like, oh. So, that's hilarious. I didn't get that.
But obviously he did things very differently. He was running constantly, and for whatever reason, you know. And I don't know if were you taking anything at that stage or no?
No, this was when I was really young. I was still living at home. I would have been shot.
It's funny because my dad he's always been vascular. Like I've always known him as just having crazy veins through his arms. And I'm just like, oh, I want that. And when I was young, I just never had veins. I just wasn't a vascular kid when I did my bodybuilding when I was a teenager and stuff. And I was like, damn, I want to have veins. And then they just came on, man. And now I'm reasonably vascular. Like when I get lean and have a pump, like a lot of people comment like shit, you got a lot of veins. So it's like, oh, I'm sort of turning into my dad again.
That's pretty cool actually. Yeah, because he was really heavily into it, wasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he competed, but he competed naturally, obviously, when he was younger in his 20s, and then he got back into it. And I actually prepped him when he was about 50. So, which is sort of cool. So
yeah, that's really cool actually.
Yeah. But anyway, man, that's it for another episode of the weekly bodybuilding breakdown. If people want to support this channel as well, just head to hostile.com, HOSSTILE.com, and enter XAV10, XAV10. You'll save yourself 10% on all the supplements and apparel. I've got the t-shirt and cap and stuff on now, so you can get all that stuff on there as well. And Mick, do you want to give a shout out to anyone or anything like that?
Actually, well, good. See, you got the shirt on. I will. You can't see it, can you? Hidden Gym. Ooh, so that's nice. A local Dallas gym. A guy named Greg McCoy owns it. So Greg's been around for quite a while. He's owned Metroflex and Destination Dallas at one stage. So support your local gyms. You know, like while we can. I think everyone's doing it tough, and I know Greg and that are too. So if you can get a casual workout in at Hidden Gym, pop in there because there's Steve Kluko trains there with Greg as well.
Oh, awesome.
So so they've got a good range of equipment in there. So happy days.
That's really cool. Cool. So that's it for another episode of a weekly bodybuilding breakdown. I think we might do a bit of a Q&A maybe next time. Maybe we'll do 2 episodes next week. We'll just see how it goes. So if you've got any questions, make sure you post them in the comments below. Let us know what you think of all the topics we discussed in the comments below, and give your opinion on who wins out of Hunter and Iain. Let us know how George Peterson will go in the Olympia, plus much more. So get on that. So for Xavier Wills and Michael Galley, we are out.